Thank you so much for being here, all. It's amazing seeing such a big community here and such a turnout. We're gonna talk today about white coding and how you actually deliver production ready code. And this presentation and a workshop, it's really a workshop. I will talk less on the slides and we'll white code together and have a look how who is in tech? In tech, yeah. Who is vibe coding actually? Who has tried cloud code? Awesome. Who has tried Lovable? Lovable, yeah. Any other tools that I did?
Codex.
What's that?
Codex.
Codex?
Right.
Yes,
What is that?
OpenAI.
Okay.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah.
there's a new system of them, yeah.
OpenAI also.
Anyone tried latest Google Chrome model?
Anti-gravity.
No, not yet. Yeah. It will be interesting to also hear the feedback because I'm so far really happy with Cloud Code, but I bet there is always a better way. I actually asked just before this talk, hey, I mean, that's Claude, create me a meme how vibe coding feels versus how it actually is. I don't know, would someone agree? I get a bunch of errors like that all the time, and then fixing them and the actually vibe coding how it feels, and then how you debug it is a completely different story. So we're gonna briefly talk about Git fundamentals, how we use PR system in Coach Nova AI. That's a startup we're working on right now. How we organize ourselves with GitHub issues and have a look into a live demo. Just briefly, for me to understand how much time we would need to spend on Git, who knows what Git is? Who has never worked with Git? Never worked with Git. Okay, awesome. Then just yeah, but you guys heard about Git in general, yeah? Like main concepts, yeah? That's a version control system. That's where we put all of our kind of text-based things and iterate on them, and it keeps track on the changes that we iterate on the code. Who is using one, or who is using here more than one branch? Who is using just one branch, main or master? Okay, that's interesting. May I ask why? Why would you use other branches and why would you use just main? Teamwork. Teamwork, all right.
Don't break main.
All right, why wouldn't you break main?
But it's stable.
Exactly, yes.
Well, that's stable as you know it. That's the test proof.
Yeah. Who hates lovable because they breaks main all the time?
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah, so in general, in Git concepts, we talk usually about the train, right, and the timeline. So every change you do to your code, it's like a time machine. They accumulate, and they at some point land on main, either directly because some coder does it, or any AI tool, or indirectly when we merge another branch. And here, like a general practice that we create feature branches, and that's how we also work right now in Coach Nova AI. When it started, it started with one coder, one vibe coding tool, and that's just main. Now we have created this, introduced this new Git flow concept. So since we have couple of hands raised when I ask about Git, and who of you are using GitHub? So most know, right, what GitHub is, and that it's a central repository. It sits somewhere on the server on GitHub Cloud, and it's a copy on someone else's machine. Not very different from your own copy. How when you clone your repository, it's not that different. We just then make sure to synchronize it either with commit and pushes, or if someone, would you please open the door? Either if you change the code, you go with commit and push. If you want those changes that were done by someone else, you go with attach tools and so on. So on one side, this whole story of synchronizing the changes to your code that you check. All right.
Maybe question, is there
Yeah,
any
sure.
other way you would, you say, do you know Git, but is there any other concept you use besides Git? Meaning, is there like a competitor, so you need to be aware of?
Oh, there are many of them. Or I mean, nowadays it's kind of like why the heck would you use anything else except for Git? But back in the days we had AC, how was it?
CVS,
CVS, yeah, there are a bunch of different tools by other companies. It was actually a very competitive space. But the guy who created Linux, I don't know, you would argue maybe Git was even a bigger creation than Linux. And yeah, now, yeah, but that was maybe 10, 15 years ago. Now every company, it's like the default stack, it's open source. And yeah, it's adopted by every tech giant in the world. By the way, if you guys have questions, it's really not, I consider it more like a workshop, just ask questions. So thank you. Of course. All right, so why do we protect main? Main, yeah. You mentioned the main purpose. Let's keep our code stable there so that we can actually deploy from it. So that we keep our code tested every time we push something to main. It does not break our CI/CD pipeline. Who is working with CI/CD pipelines, by the way? Just no. All right. Those who work, maybe can you explain to others what the CI/CD is?
Wow. So it's an automated system where the code that you push with Git gets automatically tested, and if the tests are passing, it will get deployed in production. Get that?
Yeah. I mean,
You have to write the test yourself, I guess.
Well, either you or code, right?
Okay.
Someone has to write the test.
Right.
So yeah, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. It means every change that I do, how it basically helps you to solve a problem of integration of those changes without breaking your previous code. Does it make sense? All right, I now realize we haven't put CI/CD slides, but we will create a CI/CD pipeline during the demo. Actually, not we, Code will do it for me. We'll just talk about it. Yeah, so, all right. So who knows the concept behind pull requests? Yeah. Why do we use pull requests usually?
Create a little feature and just have this code that you created, like making a component, like 3 files, and then you make a PR with these 3 files so that somebody can also review. Is there a reviewer that can review PR, and it's not 100 files to review, and it's just 3 files in this case.
Yeah,
And that's pull request, or we are adding a feature, and the code of this feature is there. And then if it gets approved, it goes merge.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah. I would say then review is a critical part of,
Yes.
pull requests. Why do we need a review?
go ahead, sorry, go on.
Keep a human in the loop, that to have other guys that check our code and assess that everything will done. Nothing is perfect.
Yeah. So it's also part of the quality assurance kind of process. So if I'm just one coder who I will definitely, by the way, I haven't seen a coder in my 15 years career that would not deliver bugs. With pull requests, probability drops, even though still two coders will deliver bugs, and same basically applies for your AI coder. Your requirements, it's all about the requirements communication and then how we solve those requirements, right? So there is no out of the box system, human or AI or whatever we will experience as a merge. Quality assurance, I believe, becomes more and more important. Yeah, so with pull requests, we do,
Sorry,
yeah,
Next question. Well, where are you branch level tests and unit tests happening? Presumably before you do the pull request, you run your tests as a branch developer.
yeah.
And that's how are those kind of documented in the Git world, or are they?
Really cool question. I have it I will answer it in like 5, maybe 10
Okay.
minutes, all right?
Okay.
I'll show you where it is.
Okay.
But yeah, but this is an important concept. So pull request has to comply with certain quality. And assuring the quality is unit tests, what else is there? Integration tests, my performance tests. I mean, it depends how big your company eventually is and how much you are invested into,
And also
quality.
the regression, visual regression tests, like make sure that if you have a new component, that like other components is looking the same and they are not broken, for instance.
Oh, okay, that's, yeah. We don't do visual regression tests, but it's also an interesting type of test. Yeah,
In
and
big enterprise.
it's also integrated for you in your CI/CD.
Well, not currently, but I worked in Belgium and there it was implemented. So to make sure that when I will change some button, for instance, that will not change all other buttons or, for example, or other components.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Who is into test automation? Anyone writes any automated test? Okay, alarming. Why automated tests, or why would you write?
You don't ship the code without the test. How do you know it works?
Yes, exactly. Now, who knows the test-driven development concept? Okay, with more people know it. So, okay, maybe a couple of words about test-driven development. Anyone wants to share their experience with test-driven
I have
development?
just one question before. What do
Yeah.
you mean by automated tests? You mean like doing unit tests, or it's a sort of mechanism that is there trying to break the component by injecting, for instance, is expecting a string and is injecting there an object, for instance? What do you mean by the automated tests?
Unfortunately, it's all of that.
Okay.
So the really good tested system, you go through all of the steps through unit tests. Unit tests meaning I test my business logic by the component.
Mhm.
Then I go with integration tests. I test my components interaction and how they play with each other. Then we have our performance tests. I make sure that all of those components that we test, that they perform and there is no degradation in our service. Because with your customers at the end of the day, you define your level of service and how do you ensure this service level?
Sorry, for newcomers, there's only 2 more seats on the couch, but it's a little bit hard. Oh, you can sit on the floor, but we are running out of space.
Make the test. automated test.
It can be, it doesn't have to be automated. So what is an alternative? A human goes and actually opens a script and then does click a button A, that happens, it's always script, outcome, and then I compare my result with expected outcome. That's and usually you want to automate it because it's just there is no human being on the earth that is super happy about doing that 100 times per day.
You just name that it sounds that it will be automatically made, you know, like what I mean.
Yeah.
Without unit testing and so on.
Yeah, so there are like trivial tests and then it progresses. But eventually you want to execute those tests every time someone creates a formal proposal to change your code on the main. And I need to stress, it's a formal proposal. It's not just, hey, let's, let's change our code in production. There is a process, and the better this process is defined, the better the quality of your whole company, assuming your company delivers software. All right. So since we are in a vibe coding space, I usually, for vibe coding, I use GitHub issues for my implementation tasks. The reason being, Cloud Code is really good integrated with GitHub. You can quite easily allow it to communicate to your repository and read all of the GitHub data. And yeah, just easier. Out of curiosity, where do you guys keep implementation tasks in your companies or in your projects? Is it Jira?
Jira,
Azure?
in the past, now it's Jira.
Yeah. When you talk to your AI agent, is it enabled to access that information as well?
No.
That's good, it's good, it's good. It's based on the company, of course, policy, but it's no technical issue to do that normally.
No, there is no technical issue, but I'm interested if there is any company that does it.
Oh.
So far, companies I've seen, they are all super protective about it. Even though you can just give read rights
Yeah, true.
to your agents.
Yeah.
You do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, it's much easier, I don't have to copy paste them.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, but eventually, my main message here is that every pull request should reflect some change, some capability. Every pull request delivers some capability to your software or feature, however you call it. A capability can be created out of multiple features, but it's basically we are changing our product and adding something new, right? Or solving some problem with our pull request. And this pull request allows you to document how a feature or a capability eventually is made to your production, which is in a really good companies, you even be able to put a revenue behind it, right? We have a capability, we deliver it because of, we want usually more value to our customers which hopefully translates to revenue for your company. All right, so what is a good PR? I don't know if you agree with those statements, but here is just an example, right? Add user login validation. So for me, it's add email, implement password strength, display helpful error messages. So a PR describes what it did, but not necessarily how it did it, right? Who has some PR templates? Do you guys use in your companies?
Just like the test number. And then just write the title, not really anything so special, but I see what you mean by template.
Yeah. It can be a template, doesn't have to be, but usually if you want to keep a template, keep it just short, without overloading. Especially if a PR is correlating to your ticketing system, you don't need to put that much information there.
My company is a piece or a place that is validation, and where you can add some image or some output or a video just to show what the art does.
Mhm.
Really interesting.
Oh, so you will go with demo
It's
before?
a validation. You can show an image or you can show something, and it depends on the PR, of course. But can be if it's UI, it can be an image.
Mhm.
If it's some logic, then we have some video show. That's interesting.
Oh, that's cool. And to even add maybe a Loom video like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's an idea for our company as well. Okay, so the review process. 3 possible states that a PR can have. It's either approved, comment, or request for a change. Who is using that now with agents? So if you go and review a PR, there is an option to communicate directly to your implementation agent. Has anyone adopted that already?
That does it automatically with me.
All right, I'll show it maybe in the demo. But now if you set up Cloud Code on your GitHub server, you can directly communicate to a GitHub Cloud Code that is not running on your local machine, but on the server, and it will go and adopt the changes. So you basically extract your machine out of the loop. You don't have to run through it one more time. You simply address like from a PR directly, hey, Claude, change this or explain or comment anything, or why have you made this change?
Wait, just so I'm clear what you just said.
Yeah.
You're saying that there's an instance of Claude Code running somewhere in the cloud that's communicating directly to
Yeah.
your GitHub?
Yeah.
Is this the web, like the mobile thing that they announced?
We'll not have time to set it up here, but I can point you to a direction and how to enable it and how to do it.
Okay.
You need it's quite pricey. You need an API, a console access Cloud Code. So you pay by the request, not by subscription. And there is a GitHub plugins that you install, and you have instance of Cloud Code always running on GitHub and waiting for some events that are some triggers that are happened. For example, one trigger can be a PR is opened, and this another instance, consider this is another developer, if you will, activates, analyzes all the changes, checks if there are any weird or spooky things, and comments your PR, or directly requests changes, or maybe even does changes, depending on the configuration.
Sorry, that's included on GitHub Pro.
You don't need a GitHub Pro, but you need, it has to. So I've done it with Cloud Code. It has to, you need more expensive subscription from.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a subscription, it's API based.
Okay.
Consumption.
I think you can do it also with the subscription.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
maybe.
That's why I question it.
Yeah,
Actually,
maybe now they have introduced it. I don't know.
Okay.
Before that, I had to go for. I don't know. I actually had a subscription. I had API based consumption. So.
Mhm.
Okay. So in order to support this process, it's all cool to have it on paper, but I would like to have it enforced. Actually, how do we enforce that no one can push to main?
GitHub configuration.
Yeah. Just some simple process rules that we can add on GitHub directly. I can also show you how to do it in the demo. So main things are like require pull requests, require review, status checks. So status checks will be our CI/CD pipeline, right? That all the tests have to run, the application should be able to build. Very important, because if you know, cloud code especially delivers quite often, or not necessarily checks for build the compliance, maybe linting. TypeScript errors, typization, like checking for types in your code, so things like that. So yeah, in Coach Nova, we combine vibe coding with PR reviews. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you create your code, as soon as it is working and it is delivering on capabilities, PR will be created. And I'll show you how easily it is integratable with Cloud Code. Yeah, some of
Just
the
a quick,
yeah.
I have a question about the pull and push request. I'm not very familiar with GitHub, but so you have code running on your main, you want to add a feature, you write a pull request,
Yeah.
and that pull request, you write it for who?
I'll show it during the
Okay,
it's
okay,
gonna be,
sure.
I believe, clearer. So let's keep it for now. So one thing that I'm gonna be using is a GitHub CLI. Who knows what the CLI is? Can someone please explain it?
Well, you can run a set of commands through the terminal, let's say. CLI stands for command line interface.
Oh, yeah. So I would give my Cloud code, or in fact, it works everywhere. If you use Cursor with its agentic mode, if you use GitHub Copilot in the agentic mode, you can give all of them access to your GitHub CLI. You just need to make sure that it is properly configurable, properly configured, and yeah, so much, it simplifies your life so much. So Cloud Code can create for you PRs, can manage all of the and push code, can resolve all of the merge conflicts and things like that. Another really helpful thing is CloudMD. Have you guys used CloudMD? Who has used CloudMD? All right. So what is a CloudMD?
I use another one, and right now I use Agent. It's the combination of Cloud and two or three more companies together. It's like Cloud MD, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a set of rules based on the project.
Yes, set of rules based on the project. So it can be, I mean, if you work with Claude, their official documentation says create a Claude MD file and place it into your root repository. But obviously, for any other agentic vibe coding tool, you would have something similar. So you define it once and it's shareable across every team member. If you have multiple team members that are working in the same repository, it's up to you. You can share it between everyone, or you can have it as an ignored file and ask everyone to create your own. But I found it convenient to just share Cloud MD, and it kind of knows the structure, you know, all of the things about your project. Okay, after talking to the Cloud for 3 minutes, I come up with this idea what we're gonna build today, the meme machine. It's an AI-powered meme generator, and we'll just use that to show you the PR process, to show you how a CI/CD, like some basic CI/CD pipeline setup, but that simplifies your life a lot. So what are core features of our amazing product that's gonna create our millions? Upload and AI caption generation. We have a trending meme templates, custom text and styling, and one-click social media sharing. I talked to my product manager. He has done all the market research, and that's what's gonna bring us the revenue, he says. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So what we're gonna be doing now, we're gonna set up a repository on GitHub. We're gonna break it into epics, create issues, implement features, add unit tests, and that's unit tests back to the testing automation. And then set up CI/CD pipeline. We're gonna talk about some deployments options, why we would, how we would enable that all. And yeah. All right. Do you have any questions while I'm making final changes here? No? Then let's go on GitHub. First of all, I'm just gonna create an empty repository. I will clone it. Someone had a question about what does it mean to clone. No, what does it mean to pull repository? All right. Switching model is a little better. So I have also created a PRD, which is what was that product requirements document or cloud code that we're gonna be using. And it's called Ming Machine. Let's create a repository with this name. I like to keep it dashed. And it's gonna be public. I'm actually okay with that. I don't think that anyone wants to steal our amazing repository. Okay, so it's fully empty right now. And I can go ahead and just set up in my GitHub desktop. I know you guys, can you see, or is it too small?
It's a bit hard to be able to read. Very small.
All right, okay, I'll increase the font there. Let's just clone this repository. Let me check if. Yeah, that's better. We're currently on main. We don't have any commit right now. We don't have any changes locally. So the first thing I would upload my PRD. Let's reveal it in Finder. The way I roll, I prefer to create a folder called product. And then upload there my product requirements document. All right. Now we can go to terminal and exit this instance of cloud. Oh yeah. Is it better? Awesome. Here, I'm in my Ming Machine folder, and I'll just start cloud instance. And just say, yeah, I trust this folder. It's empty anyhow. Since I have configured already GitHub CLI, so GitHub CLI is GH. If I'll just run this command, it means I have it installed already. But if you would want to replicate this at home, you would need to install GitHub if you don't have it yet. So here, because Cloud Code right now has access to GitHub CLI, I can just simply tell it create commit. I'll just say commit. And with a big spelling mistake even, which is, yeah. So it's gonna run some things, your parent branch main, so, now it's just some git commands that it does. And eventually, yeah, it identified that I have a new, PRD, new file. And, hopefully, yeah, it even understood that it's my initial commit. And now we can go here at some point. Yeah, I want to proceed. Okay. I can ask it to push as well, just to double check my repository here is still empty. Let's ask it to push. And see how my product requirements document will turn up on the server side. Yes, just allow it.
I have a preliminary question because I'm new to Cloud Code. So
Yeah.
basically the installation, how does it work? It's easy to install. How does it work?
Super easy.
Super easy.
But-
To create this, let's say, the environment like connected to GitHub, all these things.
So GitHub connection happened here. So I've created GitHub new repository just
Okay.
in front of you. And I actually cloned it locally through
Through the command, through the
Yeah.
terminal. Okay.
through GitHub repository, through
Okay.
GitHub desktop.
Okay.
So who uses GitHub desktop? What everyone else is using for Git communication?
Just
Cursor.
Yes,
yes,
just-
yes,
yes.
Through terminal.
Okay, fork, okay. Oh, interesting. No one source 3?
No, no.
Damn, I feel old. This was like a dominating tool back, I don't know, like maybe 7, 8 years ago. Yeah, anyhow, so it now has a mistake because I cloned it with just HTTPS, but actually my code, my GitHub CLI expects SSH communication. I just need to give it change origin to. And the coolest part, it will now do all the required changes, and since it couldn't push, I mean, I know the problem why it couldn't push. It has here permissions and la la la, and it uses like it expects another authentication method, which is fine. And now if I ask it to push, it has to work.
Just another question to Cloud Code. It's a API based or subscription based?
I have now subscription. This
Okay.
one, I have now 3 subscriptions with Cloud Code.
Okay.
One is API based, the other one is on Max, and the other one is just the smallest subscription.
Okay.
In that way, every time I run out of tokens, I just switch them
Okay.
and then basically increase my consumption. Okay, so it has just pushed. It means my PRD should, yeah, awesome. I have now here a product. I have my PRD. And the next thing I can go and tell to Claude, read the PRD and create GitHub issues for each epic. And while it does it, let's have a look what I have actually in my PRD. This, and here we need to increase. So it's just an overview, I mean, some really basic description, the whatever I have shown you on the slides, like create memes quickly, all the capabilities. It's actually jobs to be done. A description, so basically what user intends to do with my software before they use it, and then some epics breakdown, which is more or less the capabilities of our software. Some ideas on tech stack, which I mean, to be honest, I don't care at this point. And then success metrics, like what does it mean if we have a performance software? So now Cloud Code had to read it. Features, it identified 3 features for some reason. That's the first epic. So I'll go ahead and tell to Claude, yeah, just don't ask again me for GitHub issues creation. And actually what happened now, Cloud Code added settings. And I don't know how it works actually with other agentic tools, I hope similarly. But with Cloud settings local.json, I can always track what kind of permissions Cloud has. Can you read it, guys? It's still quite small, yeah. What kind of permissions my Cloud instance has. So if I give it once, you can always push to my GitHub repository without me accepting this change, it will just do it. Also good practice to not check in this file into your repository, because otherwise every developer that will have access find out, oh, Cloud Code just communicated to my database and deleted half of it because it had the permission to do it. Yeah.
Does that file get updated automatically when you select yes?
Yeah. Cloud Code updates this file. That's how Anthropic decided to keep what kind of local permissions your instance has.
Okay.
Okay. My Ming machine just got 4 amazing epics. Image upload management, epic toolkit, and so on. So it means I'm ready to develop them, right? I can just tell Cloud Code, you can go and implement them. But since I don't want to push directly to main, let's go and do some changes to our GitHub repository. If I go under settings, under branches, I can add the branch rule set. Oh, and now I realize I have to create it under subscription. Let's give it a try. In the worst case, it fails. So I want my main to be protected and always require a pull request. Since I'm the only developer right now, I would not require approvals, but if I would be sharing this repository with multiple developers, I would select that as well. And I want to dismiss all pull request approvals. So it means just if someone approves my PR and then I did more changes, it discards my approval and asks for another approval. What else? Yes. Yeah, let's just create it. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll do it on another.
Just close the eyes. It's okay.
Yes. It's not like it's being recorded, right? Okay, now I have a branch protection created. It means that Cloud Code will just simply fail if it tries to push it. Let's give it a try. Actually, let's start in implementing first feature. Oh, actually, before I start implementing the first feature, I can ask Cloud Code to create cloud.ng file for itself. I have prepared a prompt here, but it doesn't have to be that prompt. To be honest, at this point, I feel like this. I mean, there are some generic rules to prompting, but eventually, if you just tell what you need, it's gonna work. In this case, I'm just saying create a cloud.ng that defines our workflow. Always branch from issues using GitHub issues developed. Always create PRs with GitHub PR. I mean, using the CLI. Use conventional commits, add references to the issues that will be closed by this PR. And let's just see what it comes out with. While it does, I can check if my branching policy works. Okay, should be working, right? Yes, allow my edit. So at some point here, I should see a cloud.md file. Here it is. And it really defines our workflow, some branching, what commits it should do, some rules that we understand, like there is a new feature to use. Those are, conventionally branch naming conventions. All right, looks good to me. Let's give it a try. Push changes. And fingers crossed it has to successfully fail, which means our branching protection rule works. Or it will already pick up changes and create a PR for me. I'm now interested how it's gonna react. What? Okay, it's really pushed. Well, this is yeah, right. Damn it. I now realize why. I actually created under my personal account, and if you don't, I don't pay for GitHub subscription personally, but if you pay for subscription, those rules are enforced. If you don't, they are not. So, what can we do about it? We can transfer ownership to actually one of my organizations. How are we gonna do it?
It allows you to set this up, but then it doesn't work.
What is that?
It allows you to set up the branch protection, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the way, it's basically the freemium model on GitHub.
Interesting that it allows.
Or how I understand it, they policy anything that you it's okay to kind of code by yourself. But if you want more enterprise-like features, they're gonna ask you to pay. Yeah, I can just go to this danger zone and transfer the ownership. Let's go to Coach Nova.
Maybe now you can make it private.
It's all right, I don't mind. It will be discoverable. Okay, it's gone now. Now I've got a bunch of emails that ownership has been transferred. And if I go back to GitHub, yeah, here's my repository. And now I would need to actually change the remote. I'll just ask Cloud. I have transparent repo, change remote. And here's my new remote under our yes. Now let's test it actually. Here. Branches, main. Yeah, now you see the protection rules are actually applied. Edit. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's test a push to main. Create some stamping file. Now, if that's gonna work. All right, yes. Okay. And yes, why it works? All right. Well, that has to fail at least now. I hope. Fingers crossed.
Are you connected to the new, or it doesn't make any difference? Since you changed ownership,
Yeah, it should be connected to the same. Let's check it on GitHub. Maybe there is. Yeah, it's on under my repository right now.
Does it actually push? Because I had a lot of times that it doesn't. It says it's pushed, it's updated, and it's not there.
You are absolutely correct. It's put. Yeah, I probably need to reload this repository again, and yeah, you see there are two changes according to my. I think GitHub desktop is having a hard time changing the repository, but here I don't see my test file. But if I know 4 commits now, it was pushed. No, I have 4 commits here. Not 100% sure why it's not enforced right now.
Ask him.
Yeah, true. We can delete. And reset out this, the classic one.
Why do you use the classic?
I just prefer it. It's quite easy to set up. We on the main and on the Okay. Okay, let's tell meanwhile code to implement, let's clear its context. And see what it will come up with by default. Implement epic 1. Consult with GitHub for issues. And it's gonna take some time. Yes. Meanwhile, I can create another instance of code here. And I can actually create my CI/CD pipeline. Create CI/CD. Actually, I think we don't have any scaffold of the project right now. So let's just give it a second. I had to start it previously because that's gonna be now quite a big task. Cloud Code will start implementing first feature. For that, it has to create an application and then implement the first feature. So once my application and project scaffold is created, I can build it. I can run unit tests. I can basically create a PR as well. And now it's gonna come up with some plan.
Big question, is this feasible with like the pro subscription? Can you do like these multiple instances at once? Is it okay for the token window?
If you really give them a small scope. So my idea was once it's gonna finish, my idea was, hey, create just a CI/CD script. Then it's okay if two cloud instances are running in the same on the same folder. But if you have some more complex tasks where they might touch same files, that becomes messy. You don't want to do that. For that, you want actually to check out repository one more time and have those in two separate folders, creating independently pull requests. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Separate folders or separate branches off of main?
Separate branches, separate folders. I mean, I prefer, there is this notion of Git tree. You can enable and give it to one cloud, but it eats a lot of credits right now, at least for me, my experience with that. That's why I have now two subscriptions. One subscription runs with current changes, another subscription runs with in a fully separated folder. And yeah, that's at least worked better for me than just experimenting with GitHub trees.
You can do dev containers too, if you have like two different projects, for example.
Oh, what is that?
Dev containers, they're just like Docker containers, so you have different development environments. So let's say you're working on two different repos at the same time. You could have like one Docker container with one repo running cloud code and then another for another.
Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense as well, yeah. Yeah, you can really dig into it and create some really complicated flows and have even multiple cloud code instances running on the same machines, especially if you give them different development environments. Yeah, but for so far, usually it's me, the bottleneck, I mean, two instances for me are more than enough right now. I'm here understanding what it does, allow it or change it, and then jump in here while this instance works. I am, like now, for example.
But I'm trying to understand, are you simulating two developers working on the same project?
Yes, exactly.
And so in that case, they would be in branches, in the same root directory.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Whereas the scenario you're describing is two totally different projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a friend of mine just yesterday actually showed me his site. So he goes for Cloud Code and Cursor. And there are a couple of now free repositories. I can share it with you later, where you can enable Google Pro model with Cursor more or less for free, and run even 3 developers on one machine. And that's how he is developing now his startup as well.
Although personally, I'm a little confused. I think I always think of Claude Code as running out in the cloud on Claude's, Anthropic's environment. Is it actually running locally on your machine in some way? No.
The models in the cloud.
The model's in the cloud.
Model is in the cloud, yeah.
The command line interface is local.
Is local, but it's invoking everything it's doing is out in the cloud, right? In terms of code gen and.
Yes and no. It's actually a really good question. So whatever command it executes, it is on my local machine. It executes it on my local machine. So for example, create a file.
Right.
Now it's created a file.
Because those files are all local.
Those files are all local.
Yeah.
A decision to create this file comes from the cloud,
Right.
from the LLM. So it takes all the context, sends it to LLM. LLM does its magic and returns, hey, here's your plan. You need to execute this, and that. I would imagine that they have some maybe smaller LLM, maybe with some limited tokens also locally. But I don't know. I haven't worked in Anthropic yet. I don't know what is your take, guys?
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
Because even if you do like a simple command, like if Nick were to type here something basic, it still interprets it. So everything that you type there, it's not like typing on terminal, I think. It's always interpreted by the LLM.
Out in the cloud. You're saying out remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what the right term is. I call it cloud-based, but
Yeah, I think that basically here in the repo that he has here locally, this terminal thing reads files, extracts some pieces of files and sends it to cloud.
yeah,
The cloud processes it.
Yeah.
And then he gets here the instructions that he has to do on his local machine.
yeah. And I guess there's that the word extract is doing a lot of work in that statement. No, it's like what is doing the extraction to send up to the cloud, and how smart is that?
Yeah, that's their whole, intellectual property of Anthropic, how they do it and how they manage to do it. And I think if you know that, you can be a rich man. It would be cool to understand it though.
Then you can open a Cloud Code and say, build me a Cloud Code.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's how.
The Cloud code is open source, so you can actually go and check on.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
same with Codex as well. Delete. Not the model itself, but
Yeah, okay.
the
So the
Yeah.
tool itself.
So that's why you always
Next
the
time
same
is
thing.
you know that.
I did not know that.
You guys, next time we meet.
Yes.
Let's talk about how to build our whole.
God only knows what that looks like though, because it's an LLM, so it's just like huge matrices or something like that.
Oh, you mean like the closed source portion?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
the open source might be pretty lightweight. Most of the
Right.
work is being right.
So I'm gonna go and ask another instance of my code terminal to create a CI/CD for PR check. And it should just create some YAML file under my GitHub. Meanwhile, our repository grows really big. It has now some sources, there is application, some components it comes up with. I don't know, whatever it makes sense. What is it actually implementing? And the good thing, by the way, remember we have created cloud.md. So what just happened, I didn't tell it to create another branch. I mean, I just said, okay, go ahead and implement epic number one. And it actually created a branch, epic image upload management. And I mean, that picked up all of those configurations by itself. And now it even, yeah, commits by itself, and at some point, hopefully, asks me to create a PR. Meanwhile, this other instance proposes me PR check.yaml, which is, if you go through it, who has seen those YAML files? Work with them? Okay. So it's basically like a description of a job, what I have to do before something happens. In this case, the name of this job is my PR check on every pull request into main branch. I want to lint, type check, and build. So there is a step for checkout, for setting up my environment. I mean, we have dependency on Node here. And then installation, linting. What is linting, you guys?
Syntax check.
Yeah, just check for the syntax, then type check, and eventually a build step. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. It can create it.
So there is something that I'm missing, but you haven't created an environment to like.
I'll show you where it runs. That's where it's on GitHub. I don't have to.
Okay, so you created it automatically based on that.
Yeah, yeah. And since we have given to cloud, since we have created this cloud.md, you see it proposes to me to create a PR automatically. Okay. So I hit yes. And at some point, here's my first pull request. Okay, finally, the rules have started to work. So merging this block, I cannot simply go ahead and merge. It asks me for a review. And let's add also this CI/CD block. Okay, it's all created. Let's double check my changes. Okay, here it is. Commit and push. Oh no. Commit and push to the current branch. Otherwise, it would have created another branch and go to a PR again. That's not something I want right now. So once it's pushed, yes. Okay, done. We have committed those changes. And you see, right now, something new appeared, which is a PR check job run. If I go here, I mean, this is quite trivial job, but eventually you will build it out and add unit tests there. You add some, performance tests maybe, so that every PR that you create before it merges to main, it has to go through all of those steps. And this runs, I mean, all of those jobs, they are containerized, and GitHub server executes them. It's not on our local machine. So you have a question?
And the job specifications in that YAML file you showed earlier?
Yeah, this is just the specification, exactly.
And in is the job called lint type check and build? Is that the name of?
Yes.
That was the
yes.
YAML file we were looking at earlier, and
so if I go under GitHub workflows, we'll find here all the descriptions. So here's my name, links, type check and build.
Okay,
It will firstly check out this code, set up and so on.
so this is a job of jobs, is that what that is?
Those are just steps.
Okay,
I have one job here. I can define also multiple jobs,
okay,
but every job has a step. Sometimes it's just one step. Sometimes it's like a list of 20 steps that it has to perform before.
Is it the cloud code running those steps or GitHub?
No, it's GitHub.
GitHub?
Cloud Code just created specification for GitHub and uploaded it there. So this is my first kind of first identification. PR tells me already all checks have passed. I mean, truly, I don't have any check. The only real check is that my app is able to build, which is not always the case. Sometimes you push something and then you protect your main branch from it. I mean, even that is already a value. And also, this is a bad example because you have 28 files, but a good practice is just to go and, you know, have a look into them. What kind of files Cloud Code created? For example, git ignore. Why did it create git ignore? Well, it probably made sense to, you know, ignore some of the files that I mean, obviously we don't want some node modules and things like that. Everything else, well, maybe package.json, so you do this kind of sanity check. Okay, all looks good. I can just, yeah, submit my review. Yeah, and since it's my PR, ideally I would give it other credentials to both. All checks have passed, I can now merge. I would go usually to squash and merge, just a personal preference.
In this case, you are approving it yourself, right?
Yeah,
In real life, it would be someone else.
yes. Yeah, but I mean, it depends on how big your project is and how fast you want to iterate. You can give your cloud instance different GitHub credentials and really treat this cloud instance as just, you know, another developer. But you are still in control with this process of understanding every file it touched and making sure that there are no, you know, eventually you can go ahead here and have a look. So the way we have implemented it, let me show you some real example. Yeah, eventually I have here integration with Vercel as well. There is another job that goes and deploys it to Vercel, and I have preview of every PR. I mean, this PR is merged, this environment has been deleted, but I can go ahead without running it locally, so I can just give Cloud Code the freedom, just do whatever, and I will just review the files and then test it on my in my preview server. Is it running? Is it working how I intended to be working? And then we get back to Cloud. Hey, that's not really the way it works.
So you don't usually check it locally, you don't have a local deployment.
It depends on the feature I'm working on. If that's like some complicated feature, then yeah, I would check it locally first. But if it's just something fast and easy, I will just give it a run. It will, you know, without my intervention, create that all, create a PR. In PR, I go on preview, check if it works. I just scroll through the files it touched, kind of understand what kind of changes it wants, and then either approve it or comment.
And like that, you kind of actually actual understanding of the performance in
Yeah.
real life because it's
Yes.
running in a server and not local.
Yeah, and I never end up in a system where I have some code on my main that I do not understand and that I haven't approved and that is maybe not even building and that is maybe not even, you know, passing any unit tests. Yeah. Now I will just delete my branch and that's it. Now I can go to code and say PR is merged. Implement next epic. And now what it's gonna do is gonna go pull changes from the main. I mean, I hope it recognizes that. It's gonna see that my local branch is deleted and repeat this whole cycle again. Now I'll have way less changes because I had to create. Yeah, you see it proposes to check out main and pull everything from main. So eventually I would not even touch it anymore. Okay, here we can exit for now. And here's my okay, let's try. Yeah, and then iterate on this process and create again PR, and then yeah, contribute and really understand what Cloud Code does for the main branch.
And so as a GitHub, you know, if I check out main means create a branch, and then it's gonna work on Epic 2 inside that branch, is that what's going on?
Yes.
The deployment in this moment is in main, but it's not released yet. It's not conversive.
Well, eventually, if I and this is quite Vercel is quite nice in that regards. Let me maybe show you. Let me show you this one. So, can you guys read it at all?
No.
No. Now it's better, yeah. So Vercel has those environments, and I can define what is my production. So in this particular project, my production is on main. It will pick up all of the changes from main and immediately deploy them into production. I have here preview, so you can configure that kind of what I have shown you with those PRs, that it generates a preview and you know for every PR or how it's defined usually everything that is not tracked by other environments, it will create a preview for you. So a general practice, like you need to delete all the older branches that you don't need anymore. And then development, in this case, I don't even use it here. But in other project, I would select actually main as my development branch and then create another branches or even create some custom CI/CD that deploys when I tag my main with a release. An example here would be oh yeah, this one's interesting. So in this project we have four developers. Now it's just two. And we have here different actions. It's an Android and iOS application. So there is like a release job. I mean, this is all automated. You just need to click it once, select the branch what you want to release and push to app stores. And then it's gonna build, push it first to test flight and do all of this magic. But same principle, we never touch main and it's all behind PRs. So if I go here on the pull request here, yeah, we'll have 221 closed PRs. So there are some released PRs, but there are like update. Yes, so some features, some GAT support, temporary, and you know, whatever, some upgrades to Flutter SDK, things like that, some yeah, augmented reality warning turns, I mean, some fixes, some bugs and things like that. So, but general statement here is you always want to protect your, I mean, you always need some stable environment where you can just say, okay, customer, just use that. And we assure the quality before it lands on production.
Nick,
All right,
I have a question. So
Yeah.
conceptually, like PRs represent a collection of issues, right? So essentially an epic, a PR is like an epic,
no, not necessarily.
not necessarily.
Epic can be so big that you need like 10 different, it eventually, a PR is some logic, it's
It's a request to commit, basically.
yes, it's a request to change the code base.
Okay,
It's not, it doesn't have to be some finalized feature, but it has to be stable. It has to integrate with your current source code and pass all of the things and do not affect your quality of the application.
if, so, but if, like, let's just wave a magic wand, pretend that PRs don't exist for a second.
Yeah,
So without PRs, we're working on a feature branch, then we're committing that branch and giving it to someone who's like the repo admin who looks at it and says, I'm ready to merge this branch to main. That's essentially what PR is,
oh,
right?
yeah. That's how it was before GitHub actually.
Okay.
Maybe the question added to Sean is how big are those? How do you divide those basically, like PRs?
This is that's, if you ask any developer, they'll give you a different answer. I mean, my personal preference, it doesn't have to be that big because otherwise it's hard to review. But now with Cloud Codes, I really don't care how big it is because I run my Cloud Code and I can literally go to Cloud Code and say, here's a PR, I will give it a URL. Here.
This is essentially Claude is able to crunch through the PR better than a human could.
Absolutely, yes. And I can ask, I mean, I can spawn, you just need to make sure to clean memory of Cloud inside of your terminal, or just clean up the previous one. Just go to plan mode with the, maybe even tell it ultra think, review PR and make sure it passes your CTO review. Here's the PR. And it's gonna burn out a bunch of credits for me, but I mean, that's how you, if that will be a production ready, that's how you would go about it. I mean, Cloud Code is really good in those kind of tasks right now. That's why I also tell, like, the next step, you enable, oh yeah, that's something also I wanted to show you.
But conceptually, I guess to summarize, we're looking at Claude Code operating as a within the context of GitHub and separately as a developer. So it's kind of a two-level at least operation. Claude Code is writing code that gets that it implements the epics.
Yeah,
Claude Code is also what you're interacting with to manipulate GitHub,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
to manipulate the code line in GitHub.
yeah, correct.
Nick, I have a question. The URL that you gave to Cloud Codes, does it have code? Does it have a programming in it?
Oh, no,
What are the contents of that PR?
so
what is it?
URL, it's, oh, okay,
Because what is Cloud doing? What is Cloud Code doing right now? It's analyzing
so
the PR.
Cloud Code is using GitHub CLI
Right?
command line interface to analyze the differences in this PR and review them. He will not touch anything, or it will not touch anything.
But previously you showed GitHub was processing and going through that links test to build.
Yeah, this has not, and that's exactly the link. So it's an official documentation of Claude. They have released now GitHub Actions. So you actually not now, it's been there for a couple of months now. But now you can embed Cloud Code in those checks as well. You can literally add here another step, review of my code base, review of the changes, and it will does the review and then comment back. And then to your local instance, you can say, hey, address those changes. And basically you have like an army of, I mean, you can really build out now an army of developers that are working non-stop on your code.
Like this Cloud Code step could be like, I don't know, a dev that is really specialized in reviewing code, for instance.
Yeah.
Not the generic
Yeah.
Cloud Code, but that has a set of instructions that is really tailored to review the PR following some code standards, let's say, or some.
Absolutely, yes. I would always give it, okay, make your CTO review of those changes and maybe even add some prompts like analyze it for sanity as well, or like, you know, some generic prompts, analyze it if that was the way to solve this problem, because Cloud Code sometimes can push you to a direction which does not really make sense.
Sometimes can over-engineer or
Yeah.
complicate code.
Yeah.
Just
But because Cloud Code would not be sad if you would tell it, hey, just your code is basically nonsense, go delete it all. I've never tried it with a developer, but they're not happy about it usually.
You feel like limit for like each agentic function, for example, like you have like one agent reviewing some part of your code. Can you previously create like an AND for each agentic code
Yeah.
that working for you?
Yes, eventually that's how you will do it inside of your CI/CD pipeline. That is something I started to experiment with now, like giving those instances different roles and just, you know, contributing to the same code base. But you still don't wanna let it just rogue and commit to your main. Eventually, I would want a system where, you know, I go to sleep and wake up and it has like 25 different PRs. I'll just go through it. All right, that makes sense, that makes sense, that doesn't, just, you know, reorganize, spend half an hour for it, submit it, and it starts working again until the next morning. Meanwhile, I think about text, you know, features made, abilities made to customers, like
Going
why
to
do I
beach.
use
Going to beach.
yeah, maybe, but it's sort of both. Yeah.
Right now, if you do that, let's say like we develop that, how much would cost Claude like have to pay for because you need like the pro or the maximum plan in Claude. So
last month I spent 250 in subscription, $20 on one subscription on Cloud Code, and that's it actually. Yeah, and now I bought another subscription for $90, but I don't think that I'll be using that much API consumption.
yeah.
So it's maybe even like 100 to $200 a month.
Yeah, that's
You will be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really this thing is quite expensive though. Every time it's same how GitHub also operates. So they would sell you those build minutes. They are not where was our PR? Here. Every time actually
I'm sharing the
Get
screen.
lost.
oh alright. What's that?
There we go.
Okay. So every time that action runs, you pay for resources that are consumed by a GitHub server. And usually if you buy like their standard subscription, they give you 1,000 build minutes a month. If you go beyond, you pay for any additional. If you, yeah, it's kind of same model. With Cloud Code, if you enable it, every time you use it, they will charge you for any number of tokens. So you can actually also with this system you can burn a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong,
True.
you can, yeah,
Wake up from the bill.
yeah. But fortunately, fortunately, Cloud Code has those limits. So you can, I mean, they have talked
Or
about it.
people like a threshold or not.
Yes,
element.
yes.
Yeah.
I have my threshold at $250 right now monthly. If I and it's every time I reach 50%, I get an email. 75%, I get an email.
That's good.
90% and so on. Yeah, but this is really all I wanted to show you guys. If you have any additional questions, I mean, I'm still here. If not, thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for your questions so far.
Okay, I have just a curiosity,
Yeah.
just to see the result. Do you deploy it, the code, or you? It's not
Which one?
deployed, like what we,
The meme machine,
yeah,
we have never even tested it. Let's actually test it.
just to, because my other question would be, how can you control like the design system of the code through cloud code? So, because it would be pretty hard, like through an empty file to define exactly what are like, I don't know, the branding guidelines, all this stuff.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
So if you have like some branding guidelines, like some UI requirement, how can you give it as a requirement to cloud code to assess that it will respect it?
The context engineering part, right?
Yeah.
So like, coming up with all the context that the agent needs to build whatever it is. So like if it needs, branding guides, etc., you can add that in a ND file, for example.
Okay, but like so you have to write, you cannot provide examples, so you have just to, must be like a text.
No,
You can tell
You
it,
can
it's
take
like
images.
pointed at 5 different websites that you like and say, make
Okay.
me a
Yeah,
branding
it can-
guideline stock.
Check the web. You can also paste images into the terminal.
Okay,
You can even choose the component library that you want to use.
okay,
If you want to use something specific and color, you can just mention this in the file, and you'll follow that.
yeah, okay.
Or just create a folder and put the images inside and tell the agent to look at the pictures,
Okay, okay,
to join all the context on a simple manner.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, but eventually you can mention those things in Cloud Code. The way I do it usually is again personal preference. In code.md, I mentioned the files where different things are defined.
Yeah.
And what I have found that saving tokens is a problem here, because if you have all of that in one big chunk, in one big file, this guy will read this file all the time. It's gonna burn so fast your tokens. So I'm now under product. I would have like some smaller empty files and really keep them small. Like here's my UI guidelines.
Okay.
One file, maybe I don't know, 200 lines.
Okay.
Maybe even less. I don't know. Here's my templates, whatever, and then just reference all of that in CloudMD.
Okay.
And yeah, so it helps to Claude every time it knows what kind of task it has to perform. It knows the file where it can read about this task. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious, how you do context engineering in your,
In what task?
in
While
any,
developing or while?
yeah.
So you remember I asked the very first thing I asked Claude to create those GitHub issues. In a good project, I would have also a template how this GitHub issue should look like. If we just look here, here's my epic, I would keep it as my context for any implementation step. And that is also why it's beneficial to give it access to your ticketing and system where you keep all of that feature and capabilities information. And then some files like PRDs. So I have here usually a product folder. I would also typically reference those files under call.md. Here. So currently it's just about workflow and whatever.
And
Like-
how would you reference them so that Claude would use them appropriately and not burn through too many tokens, as you were suggesting? Like, what do you say in Claude MD when referring to an outside file that has a large chunk of information?
I usually never touch it. Like I never type in Claude MD.
Yeah,
I go and ask Claude to optimize it for himself. And if I see that it starts to kind of going back and forth,
Yeah.
I will stop it. And hey, let's analyze this problem. Why are you doing that? Why you jumping around? And then outcome of that would be clearer structure for Claude MD.
No, but I think what he's asking is like, it's called progressive disclosure. It's this idea that you only read in context as you need it to certain things. So if it needs to know the file system structure, it'll read that in. If it needs to know what your database schema is, it'll read that in. So you can like break these into separate files and then reference them. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
it is, but then how do you, what does it say in Claude MD to help it understand when to invoke, when to go read that separate file, right?
Let me give you an
And what I think
example.
Nick is saying that he lets Claude MD figure out how it wants, he lets Claude figure out how it wants to write the Claude MD file such that it goes out appropriately.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to do what you're talking about, you just tell it. Like he's saying, rather than write it manually, you interact with Claude and say, hey, write the file. So just say, look, Claude, do progressive disclosure. I want you to break the database schema and the file system and the brand guidelines and all this stuff into separate files and only link to them as you need them.
Here's an example. This is an older project. I don't use Claude tools anymore. But here's an example, product requirements. Before starting any work, familiarize yourself with these key documents. Here's my EFD. It's a small application. To be honest, I don't need to even change here anything. This works just fine. Bigger project, I will split some PRD into, there is a implementation plan. I would also add here, analyze, I would also add here some sentence about my GitHub issues, how to search for them. Maybe in another project, I have like some tags that I use if you are looking for an epic. There are not so many epics, but a lot of features in that GitHub issue. So I tell it just go and use tag epic and check through all of the epics that require completion as a next dependency.
From my experience, trying to answer what you asked about whether at which point does it go crazy and tries to read all the files and then it spends a lot of tokens. From my experience, it doesn't do that. So in your Claude MD file, you can reference, just like Nick was showing, you can reference your PRD and your plan or database schema. You can, like an index. If you need this, go here. If you need this, go into this folder to this file. You can have.
And my
it
question
there.
was really that, how do you articulate that if you need this part? You just write it in human readable and,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it just because those files are referenced there, doesn't mean that every time you are prompting, it's gonna read all the
Doesn't
files.
actually read that.
I think it goes only when it needs. That's from my experience. That's all.
It's also doing a lot of caching. Like Nick, can you open a terminal window and type CC usage outdated?
CC usage, I believe that was.
The Ahoba, the ad symbol, latest.
Yes.
All one word, CC usage is one word.
At latest.
No, I don't think I have it installed though.
Oh, sorry, NPX space CC
Yeah.
usage output. So what this does is it shows you day by day token usage and also cache hit rate. And so like this is part of the magic
Yeah,
that
right.
Quad's doing.
Uh-oh.
It's,
Usage at latest.
Yes.
yeah.
Usage. I don't know what's happening, I cannot enter it.
It's not a huge deal, but that command, if you type it, it will give you a breakdown of your token usage and you'll see how much cache hit rate. So like once it reads in the whatever file, it's not gonna, you're not continuing to burn tokens by referencing it.
You wanna see a high cache hit rate.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has about a 90% cache hit rate from personal.
Okay, yes. Now also interested how much. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's.
That's the rate or?
No, it's not.
No, that's the total.
They use $4.
But you have a max subscription, right? Or
Yeah.
you're not using max.
No, I interchanged like sometimes.
Well, that total is not what he's actually paying. That's what you would pay had you been
Yeah.
using API-based usage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also Anthropic is really generous. I was in a call with their sales. If your usage, API usage goes beyond 500, they're very open to offer you some, I mean, they have some, thing to figure out how much you should be paying. I don't know how it's.
500 is then for the maximum amount, like 200 you pay per month. So if you go over that, then they are.
If you go over 500, you will be contacted by.
Yeah, check, yeah,
Hey, tell us what you do with that. They're really open. So the company, yeah, so we've got like 20%, basically 80% discount. I was super paranoid with this other work that I do on code, and it burns like a lot of, and eventually I find out, oh, we pay just 20% of what is showing here, which is quite a good price.
Because it's interesting, because I think Codex doesn't have a gap at the moment. So
I don't know.
ChatGPT itself.
I don't know. I don't know. So far I'm an Anthropic fanboy.
Yeah, it looks also much. It works.
Since 2 months, I will say. Yeah. Let's just try to run it. Okay. I'm now super excited to actually test it, what we have created. Create your meme. Well, it's not gonna work, but I mean, you see the UI is quite generic.
It's implemented Epic 1, right? Is that?
No, it's second, right? Epic 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, we can. There's some.
You can search for.
I don't know, let's make it fun. Yeah, obviously we have not enabled any AI backend any longer, there is no API.
Right.
But it's, I mean, we did something.
Yeah.
So we can actually go ahead and deploy it now with Vercel, configure all the branches, but that's probably for another day. Also taking into account that we've been here for almost 2 hours.
Just another question, because it's something that I love about Global. I'm new to Global. That is with Super-based it manage everything like about authentication and these things. So in this case, we should build with the cloud code all the backend basically.
So I haven't found a way to build enterprise ready applications with Global. And I talk to their team, I talk to their sales, like, guys, I need like feature branching, I need to be able to actually, decide to where my code goes and, enable those safeguards. They're like, oh, no, man, this is, yeah. You just go ahead and use, you don't need to think about it.
Okay.
It's not, so I haven't seen lovable adaptation anywhere in the enterprise.
Okay.
And it's all about mostly personal, someone spins up something personal, or product manager goes and creates mock-ups.
Yeah.
This is so far most common use case. But with Cloud Code, I have seen it used everywhere in the enterprise, and it feels like Cloud Code and Github Copilot really competitors right now because they are able to, their whole sales plays and the pricing.
For Superbase, you can add tools to Cloud Code, like an MCP server that can interface with Superbase, so it can do all the configuration itself as well.
Okay, so perfect. So basically, what you say is that I can connect it to Superbase to give to Superbase like the role of authentication and like this boring stuff.
Yeah, like do all your schemas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then keeping all the logic on my code, like on backend written with Cloud Code.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that in a second. Nick, thank you. Guys, just a couple of quick announcements before we break here. Like, I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. I don't know if y'all have noticed on the site, but there's a lot of stuff here now. And so just wanted to quick show this. So Nick, Imran, and Luis all went through Build School, which is basically I run this 30-day cohort where it's more for people that don't have any familiarity with this stuff.